Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about why the Houston Rockets will be one of the best teams in the NBA defensively. The Houston Rockets team in the first couple preseason games have been, just a monster unit on the defensive end, and we knew this team, going into the regular season, we're going to be a very, very good defensive team with, them. We started to see some good things in the middle to end of the season last year defensively. This team was, a good shot blocking team. They were getting it felt like they were getting a decent amount of steals per night. But they've added in a lot of talent when it comes to the defensive end this offseason. I'll start with a guy like Jock Landale, the guy we added in to be the backup center from the Phoenix Suns. He's a guy who's a very good defensive center. He doesn't show it in the stats. I mean, he only averaged 0.2 steals per game. He averaged 0.5 blocks per game, but he's a very good defensive center, and he'll show that for the Rockets off the bench. He's a good addition. Reggie Bullock Jr. is another guy we added in free agency. He'll bring a lot, I think, more to the offensive end than the defensive end, but he averaged nearly a steal per game and is a solid perimeter defender. I think he's going to be a good addition. I think the biggest addition to the defense, Dillon Brooks. He's a guy who is a former All-NBA defender, averages steal per game last year, and he's going to be a great addition to this Rockets defense. Jeff Green as well. Not the greatest defender, but a solid defender, and he's going to be a good addition. Amen Thompson. I think he averaged wherever he at the overtime elite, he averaged 3 steals per game or something like that. And Fred VanVleet, another guy, averaged 2 steals per game. He's going to be a great addition. He's a great defender. He should be a great addition to this Rockets team. He averaged near 1 block per game as well for the Rockets. He will be a great addition for the Houston Rockets on the defensive end. Another guy, Cam Whitmore, in the draft. He's a guy who, at the summer league averaged 3.5 steals per game for the Houston Rockets in the summer league. He's a very, very solid defender, and I just see a lot of great defense all around. And I look at some of the guys that were even here last season. Jae'Sean Tate, a great defender, aggressive defender, I think he's someone who only played 20-something games last year. I think it was almost 30 games Jae'Sean Tate played last season. He will be someone great to have for this rotation, defensively, a little bit offensively. He's like that forward who can play a little bit of guard. He's our point forward, and it's going to be great to have Jae'Sean Tate healthy for this Houston Rockets team. Jabari Smith Jr., a great defender, averaged a block per game, nearly a steal per game. And he's one of the best defenders on this team. Alperen Sengun was not a great defensive player last season. He averaged 1 steal and 1 block per game, but he's just not the best defender. And in the first 2 preseason games for the Houston Rockets, he has 4 steals. He had 4 steals last night for the Houston Rockets, and he has 3 blocks in the first 2 preseason games. So 4 steals and 3 blocks for the first 2 games for Alperen Sengun. And so I think he's going to be way better on the defensive end. And I just went over, and also not only that, Tari Easton's another guy who's a good defensive player. He averaged 1.5 steals per game for the Rockets last year and nearly 1 block per game for the Rockets. So that's just player stats. What about team stats in the first 2 preseason games? The Rockets in the first 2 preseason games have 28 steals. They had 18 last night against the New Orleans Pelicans, and they had 10 the night before against the Indiana Pacers. Blocks, the Rockets last night had 3 blocks against the New Orleans Pelicans. The night before against the Indiana Pacers had 5 blocks. So in the first 2 preseason games, the Rockets have 28 steals and 8 blocks. I know it's preseason, but those are good numbers for defense. I think this Houston Rockets team with Ime Udoka running the show, Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore, who are great defenders coming in, Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet coming in as well in free agency, Cam and Amen in the draft. A couple of solid defenders being signed in free agency. A couple guys returning, like Jae'Sean Tate, who is going to be more healthy in his fourth season compared to his third season, as he only played almost 30 games last season. So guys going into their second and third years that will be better defensively, like Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason, who are entering their second years, and then Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green. Well, those were our two best players last season. Were our two best our two best players on the roster, in Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, were our two worst defenders, and both of those players have improved on their defense, and both of them have showed it in the first games. Both of them have said that was one of the biggest things that they've worked on throughout the offseason. One of their biggest things they think they need to be better on, and I think this team with Ime Udoka running the show, with some of the guys that are now in compared to last year via the draft and via free agency, this Rockets team defensively will be one of the best in the NBA. When it comes to steals, I think the Houston Rockets will ultimately finish third in steals per game. And with blocks, I think probably top 15, top 12 in the NBA with blocks. With ultimate defending, I think they're pretty good at defending as well. I mean, you got great defenders in Amin Thompson and Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet and other guys on this roster like Tari Eason as well. Jabari's a solid defender. So is Cam Whitmore. I think as a defense, defense is their strong suit. They've improved three-point shooting as well. With some of the guys they've added in, Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, good three-point shooters. Cam Whitmore, good three-point shooter. Reggie Bullock Jr., very good three-point shooter. Jeff Green, solid three-point shooter. Jack Landale is not a good three-point shooter at all. But yeah, they've improved on three-point shooting in the offseason as well. Those were their two their suits last year that they were that were their weak spots last year. Three-point shooting and defense. And they've improved on all categories that they struggled in last year. This Rockets team will surprise a lot of people. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Rockets fan. They've showed it in the first two preseason games, but I'm not gonna jump the gun because it is preseason. But I'm so excited for this team. That's the video. That's for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Rockets.